Everybody, it's another example of me being in random places on the internet and getting in a little bit of conversations that I, for some reason, feel like I shouldn't have found my way into. But it's okay because, hey, that's kind of the point of this. That's kind of the point of my life online. It's just to wiggle my way into places that you don't know don't know why I'm here. This is another example of me being kind of in furry drama, not in furry drama myself, but just knowing about furry drama that for some reason I just happened to fall into. Last time it was the Charlie Kirk memorial painting that was done in complete sincerity and not any sort of irony. And now it's about, I guess, racism in the furry community, which, is a wonderful thing to have to speak about, but it's something that I guess exists. And I've said many times, furries are like kind of as in the same area as VTubing to me, and it's kind of in a weird spot, but I know like a lot of furries are VTubers. But it's in the sense that like very woke space, I would say, very woke space. So when there's like racist people or homophobic people, it kind of doesn't make any sense. And I want to talk about, once again, the former thing, which is racism. And more specifically, just because I guess one of the most well known furries was in a video on Twitter about racism. This is the video that I want to talk about. Now, I'm not going to show the entire thing because it's a 9-minute long video. But if you really are interested in actually like the full story, because I'm going to do a terrible job at explaining what happened here, go watch it. It's on Ratpunk VR on Twitter. And they basically are making a video with Sonic Fox, who is one of the goats of fighting games, one of the greatest like fighting game players of all time, about the racism that they experience in a furry club. Now, at first, when watching this video, I thought this was like a real life thing. I thought it was just like there's real life locations that people go to when they're furries to like I guess party and stuff like that. But I now know it was in VR chat or like in a VR thing. I'm pretty sure because they talked about instances multiple times. So for those who didn't know, that's a thing that happens as well. Is that there's I guess VR chat specific furry clubs that exist, which is an interesting thing overall. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to talk about the racism that they had. So they basically talk about the experience, both of them, where they went to a club and they were kind of just like partying and doing what they're doing. And this is an important piece of information that they are both black. When they were partying and they were like, having a good time, they said the N-word, as they have the right to do so. That became an issue in this specific club that they are in, where I guess a lot of the moderators came out and or came to them and said, "Hey, could you stop saying this? We don't want you to keep on saying this N-word." That was kind of an interesting thing for them because they did point out at some point that there were people who were saying the F slur in this instance. So it's not like they were just having a no slur policy here, where like it would have made a lot more sense, and this wouldn't have been as big of an issue if they just had a no slur policy because it said, hey, we can't really verify the race of you in this VR chat area. I mean, like you could probably check the race of Sonic Fox because they do explain later on that the people who are moderating this space did know who Sonic Fox was. But like they could have just said like, hey, we have no way to prove this, and so since we want to apply these rules consistently to everyone, we just don't want anyone to say slurs because we don't know if we can verifiably prove that they are able to say it. But that wasn't the case. It was just specifically in this scenario for them saying the N-word. And like as the story goes on, it kind of feels like they're doing their best to like try to show that they're not racist, even though everything that they say kind of comes across as racist. And I want to show like a clip or two from this video that kind of shows like what I mean by them like trying not to come off as racist, but being unbelievably racist. Just by like the quotes that these two say that they were said to them in this little club. So one of them is an unbelievable attempt at like trying not to say racist.
Like, what the fuck is going on? And he's like, no, like, I just wanted to welcome you to the club.
The person said, we welcome all you people of melanin.
Like, that's one weird thing to say. What do you mean, people of melanin? I feel like that's an odd thing to say. Really doesn't make any sense. Like, you could say people of color, very easy to say, but people of melanin seems more racist than trying to even like avoid saying people of color. Like, what? What do you mean that's the word choice that you decided to say? What do you mean those are the words that you decided to say to try and avoid making yourself seem like a racist piece of shit? And there's like also a few more interactions that they had with the moderation team. Like it was where they're trying to explain like the N word to them and like the etymology of it. And I'm not even joking. Let me show you the clip that proves that this is what was happening.
At this point, wasn't even moderating anymore. He was just trying to explain to me as a white person the origins of the N-word. Like, I couldn't believe it, but he was horrifically wrong, mind you.
So I guess also they were trying to like justify them not allowing Sonic Fox and Ragpunk to say the N-word by just saying this is the history of the N-word. You know, as a white person, I know the N-word front and back. I know it sideways. I know it vertical, horizontal, diagonally. I know the N-word in and out. And let me explain to you, you uncultured fucks, about the N-word. It's kind of how it comes across, and like that's just a crazy thing to have happen. Another thing too, they go into detail about in this interaction, the entire interaction that they had, is that they literally went to the moderation team and said, "Yo, do you have any people of color on your moderation staff?" And like I think they eventually said that the people did say they had a person of color, at least one, but it took them a while to like think of someone who to say. So it kind of makes me feel like they were lying and they didn't actually have any minorities in any capacity when it comes to race on their moderation team, and that's just kind of an insane thing to happen, especially when like you're trying to just be seemingly a bunch of white people being like, "Hey, you can't say the N word." That's just kind of racist in itself. When once again they were trying to act like they weren't racist when they said like people of melanin, which is an unbelievable thing to say. And like for those who are uninitiated, let me tell you, as John Woke himself, telling black people they can't say the N word, but allowing people to say the F slur is racist. It's a racist thing to do because it's not like you have a no slur policy, like I said before that would have made sense for them to like say, "Hey, this is why you can't see the N word." It's literally just like you're specifically not allowing them to say the word that they are allowed to say. That's a racist thing to do. It is specifically singling out black people in this scenario and saying that you're not allowed to, show blackness is basically what happened. And it's something that they actually say in this video that they were like, feeling like their blackness was being attacked and well, not attacked, I guess, just like scrutinized in this scenario where like they were feel like they were specifically targeted for their race and not for any other reason, especially due to like the inconsistent moderation of slurs is I guess how I would call it. Like I always think like instances of these like where you have some sort of like I'm just gonna say like unintentional, even though because I'm kind of hoping it was unintentional. It might have been intentional, but bigotry in these spaces it's always so weird, especially in like the furry community, because like you're supposed to just be the most accepting community of all time and the most aware and allowing people to be who they truly are of all time. And you have like these random crazy like situations like this where you have people being racist or homophobic in ways that like you would never expect to actually happen. Where it sometimes feel like they're trying to be too woke, and then sometimes it feels like they've never spoken to like a minority race in their entire life, and they don't know how to act around them. Is another thing that also feels like it happens a lot. I just thought there was also two really funny interactions that happened under this video that shows what I'm talking about more. So we have like this one right here, where I guess someone says, "How the fuck is the furry fandom both super left wing and super right wing at the same time?" The Rap Punk then says that they ran into a gay furry named Pride Month just a couple of weeks ago. Make it make sense. And then their point is immediately proven right by someone going, "I'm Penn and I don't believe we need a whole month to celebrate Pride. Call it Pride History Month and make Pride Day June 1st or something. I don't need to fight for rights that I already have. Been open about dating other men. Never had a problem." And then Rap Punk rightly points it out, saying, "I don't need to fight for rights that I already have. Might be short-sighted in a world where these rights exist in very few places or are currently being eroded away." And then they also just say, like, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Always saying, "Why don't we have Pride Month? We're fighting for rights in other countries." When we say, yes, it does have Pride Month in other countries. But there are illegal celebrations of queerness in like a lot of countries where I think it's like over 65 countries, homosexuality is illegal, and like 12 of them, the death penalty is the punishment for being gay. So this point immediately proven right for why they're also super right wing, even though this is like this person saying they're queer, but queer people can be right wing. That's something that happens. It's weird. This is what I'm saying, like the unwokeness that for some reason just happens in the furry space. And then you have this person once again saying it's not racism to not allow them to say the N word. That's just how policies work. They aren't designed to make sense to prevent harm. And then Rat Punk rightly says it wasn't their policy. It just seemed like they were going out to them and just saying, "Hey, you specifically cannot say this word that you're allowed to say as black people." And it once again is racist if you're particularizing which slurs people are allowed to say, because they said the F slur was being said a lot, but you couldn't say the N word. It's racist to moderate the slurs in that way because it feels like you're just simply pushing down on their blackness rather than saying like, "Hey, we can't prove that people are what they're saying they are." It's obviously like once again in a space I really don't know, and I don't really know a lot about these clubs, so I can't even like think about which one it is because I don't do anything in VR. I'm not a furry, and I don't know anything about these clubs. But I think the Rap Punk person, they rarely did something, which is like they didn't actually say the name of the club, because I do think it is just a bunch of people being dumbasses when it comes to this type of stuff where like they were trying to, I guess, Well, I'm just gonna say maybe they were unintentionally being racist, or like at least I just don't want to say like they were being the most racist motherfuckers, then start a One Piece type witch hunt for the server that they're in because that just seems like an excessive thing to do. Should be a learning moment for everyone. Once again, if you're really interested, watch the entire 9-minute video. It is a wild scenario that I don't think I even fully covered the magnitude that Sonic Fox and Rat Punk experienced in their little interaction. And I also don't think I did a good job because I've said multiple times, I'm in a space where I shouldn't even ever be. Don't know how I got here, but I am here. And that's just what's going on. Once again, learning moment for us on how not to be racist and what the many forms of racism could look like, whether intentional or not. That's all I want to talk about for today, though. So thank you for watching. Goodbye.